Roblox and War Thunder. What could these two games possibly have in common? If you watch some of my spicier videos, then you already know the answer. Now, an innocent person might say that both of these started as fun passion projects that lost their soul, so to speak, once they became popular. And while that might be true, that's not the topic I want to discuss today. Every time you hear about Roblox on the news, it's always the predators, their victims, the lawsuits, and cover-up operations by the higher-ups. The game has, unfortunately, turned into something very dark underneath all the memes and jokes. And the more time I spend in the War Thunder community, the more I'm starting to notice this exact same trend. Predators hiding in the most unlikely of places, looking for prey. Now, I've already told you about some of them, like Devis, the devastated PDF file that couldn't win any major tournaments, so he went for minors instead.
I was like really depressed, no one around me, and so he started with me, and then he started sending, and then I was like, oh, send more. 17. I'm 25, so everyone is calling me like a, but no one understands. Was the one who initiated it, and I had rejected him many times. But when you're blackout drunk every single night for weeks, you do a lot of stupid stuff. And last night, I couldn't sleep because it felt like I had knives like in my stomach. I am haunted by this. I'm absolutely haunted by this. I'm kind of afraid that they're gonna come after my real life. I may come back. I will be a different person.
And true to his word, he did come back a few days ago, and he didn't even use an alt account. He logged into his old profile and tried to play in a tournament, but it didn't happen as his teammate instantly bailed after learning about Devis's reputation. There was also Senko, a woman who ran a special entertainment business for players of all ages, as long as they were willing to pay for her services. Senko actually left War Thunder for Arc Raiders after I made that video, and I truly hoped that she would be their problem instead. Unfortunately, she's also back under the name of Miss Cassandra. Oh well. Now, this latest chapter of War Thunder Degeneracy has to do with mods. Do you like mods? I'm sure you do. Over the years, War Thunder has accumulated an insane amount of mods that do all kinds of things. You want vehicle skins? You got them, although most are going to be sussy anime skins. That's what's popular these days. You got custom tank sites, custom hangars, custom models, and even custom game modes, like this Five Nights at Freddy's mission that I really wanted to use as footage for this video, but unfortunately it doesn't work anymore. Now, the point of interest for today is the sound mods, and specifically RWSM by It's Rainy Boy. It is my understanding that this mod was known by many different names and did many different things. It replaced things like engine sounds, movement, shooting, and even the voices of the crew members. Basically, it did everything. And there was plenty of demand for just that. A lot of people are not exactly satisfied with the sound design of War Thunder and want punchier, more quote-unquote immersive sounds. And so this mod was fairly popular, growing to the point of having a dedicated team of volunteers providing voice recordings for crews of different nations. And this is where our tragic story begins. We start with Person X and Person Y, names redacted as they do not wish to be known. Person X is an 18-year-old guy who was a volunteer on the RWSM team, providing his voice for one of the crew members. Apparently he also sent Rainy very private pics when he was 16, but we'll get back to that later. Person Y is a 16-year-old girl who will be mentioned all throughout this video, as she is the victim of this entire situation. So, this girl and the guy X met on some random Discord server a year ago, started talking and eventually e-dating. Yes, we begin with red flags straight away. Now, the only reason why I'm respecting this guy's privacy is because he was one of the people willing to talk about this situation, admit to his wrongdoings, and provide information, knowing that it would end up in this video. As for why he dated her, well, he said that she lied about her age. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. During that Discord relationship, he did something bad to her at one point. That's the extent of what I've been told, and I'm not digging deeper into this only because this guy is not the main focus of this video, and I really hope it wasn't actually something serious. Now this is important, as don't forget, Guy X was a RWSM team member, so he was in their Discord server, to which he also invited Girl Y. And that quickly came to the attention of It's Rainy Boy, the creator of this mod. Now, at one point, some kind of a personal disagreement happened between Guy X and Rainy, so the former was banned from the server, but not Girl Y. In fact, Rainy started to talk to Girl Y. Eventually, he became aware of the bad thing that happened between Guy X and Girl Y, and being a hero that he is, went on a mission to convince her to break up with Guy X. And eventually, he actually succeeded. At that point, all he had to do was leave her alone, as he was fully aware that she was 16 and fresh out of a bad relationship. Rainy, for reference, is 20 years old, and of course a part of the Gaijin content creator program. But of course, had he done that, we wouldn't be here today. He kept talking to her, and for a while, everyone in the server was under an impression that they were simply friends. However, something a lot darker was brewing under the surface. I guess it's worth mentioning that Rainy said this before the people knew what was going on. Hypothetically speaking, huh? Is that right? Eventually the DMs leaked, as they always do, but you would never guess how they leaked. Guy X messaged the brother of Girl Y and asked him to take pictures. The brother agreed, but not out of kindness or compassion for his sister, but rather in exchange for a few games on Steam. You know the Alien vs Predator movies? Well, this is starting to sound like Predator vs Predator, and it's only gonna get worse from here. Once the images got posted, it became clear that Rainy not only convinced Girl Y to e-date him instead, but in fact got her to enter a three-way relationship with him and Lena, a random 27-year-old guy from his server, who Rainy was also dating according to the sources. Now, straight away, we have to mention the name of the DM group. 2 mommies and 1 Rainy. Very cool. That also makes me doubt whether Lena is actually a man, so I apologize for any unintentional misgendering. I will say that this person, Lena, being 27 years old, should have put a stop to this immediately upon learning the age of this girl, instead of posting guides on how such relationships work. But I guess not all of us share the same values. Now, from these pictures, you can clearly tell that Girl Y is not a native English speaker. In fact, it looks like she can barely comprehend what is going on and perhaps doesn't fully understand what she was getting into. That being said, it clearly did not stop both Rainy and Lena from talking about very much adult things to her. In fact, you might notice these weird screenshots of 3D characters in some of the pictures. While this might seem innocent, it's anything but. These screenshots apparently come from a Japanese game called Koikatsu, where you can create highly customized characters, but not for posing for pictures, as you might assume, but instead to have these characters engage in very Japanese activities. Now, the creepy part of this is that one of the characters in the screenshots is actually based on the IRL appearance of Girl Y. So why did Rainy choose to recreate her in this game specifically? I can guess, but I'll leave that to you. So, as you can obviously tell, the topics discussed in this DM are messed up to say the least, considering the age difference of the participants. And once the genie was out of the bottle, Rainy had some explaining to do. At first, he fell back to his legality argument, saying that it was actually perfectly legal in his state. When that didn't work, he resorted to good old method of wiping everything and banning people for mentioning this ever happened. In fact, you remember how I mentioned that Guy X took some questionable pictures of himself when he was 16? Well, according to him, Rainy tried to blackmail him with these pictures to silence him. But, as we all know, once something like that leaks, there is no going back. In fact, I want to credit ST, as they were the first person to try and spread all of this actively, even though it was getting suppressed. Now, eventually, even Rainey himself realized that he would have to address all of this. After much pain and a great struggle, he posted an apology video on YouTube, and I really want to show it to you, but I would rather be safe than sorry. Perhaps you can find it elsewhere. To describe this video, well, imagine a voice that carries absolutely no emotion and doesn't even want to be here in the first place. That voice reads you an AI-generated apology that boils down to, "I did a bad thing," and "let's just move on." And he really emphasized that he wants to move on. Not yet, Rainey, not yet. Now, obviously, nobody was satisfied with that, and wanted Rainey to show that he genuinely regrets what he has done. Rainey decided that it was a waste of time, deleted his apology, and went back to nuking every mention of this situation ever happening in the first place. So to sum up what happened, Rainey, the creator of the RWSM mod, found out that one of his volunteers was dating a younger person, and they had some unpleasant things happen in that relationship. In trying to save the girl from such a cruel fate, he made her break up with that guy, and then proceeded to not just date her himself, being fully aware of her age, but also involve her in a three-way relationship with some 27-year-old weirdo and himself. After having a terrific time discussing spicy topics and making a character with her IRL looks, he used it to create questionable content featuring that character, and God knows what else. Once that leaked, he tried playing the legality card, then suppressed discussions of this ever happening, and eventually admitted to everything and made an apology. Afterwards, he changed his mind once again, deleted the apology and nuked everyone who tried talking about it. And so, where is he today? Now, since I was approached by an entire group of people to make this video in the first place, somebody talked, and eventually Rainey found out that I was aware of this situation. He then proceeded to delete everything, so if you go looking for his mod or any of his social spaces, I'm afraid you won't find anything but traces. However, perhaps that's a good thing, one less degenerate to worry about. And in case he does come back, well, at least all this information will be out there, and people will know exactly who he is and what he has done. You reap what you sow, Mr. It's a Rainy Boy. Monthly recap. Now, recently some very peculiar decals have been data mined, which means they will likely be included in one of the upcoming updates. I don't want to show them here just in case, but let me tell you, we are going back to Japan once again, all the way. Aces of Thunder is struggling as expected. While the developers have woken up and actually added head tracking support to that game, it might be a little too late as the player numbers have already dropped to double-digit levels. I have also heard that Gaijin will try to save that game somehow very soon, although what exactly they are planning is unknown to me. And honestly, I would be very surprised if they manage to do it. As always, a massive thank you to all my Patreon supporters. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And to everyone else, thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next video.